Answer to this one is 64. Answer is 10. Answer should be 6. Answer is 70. Alright, the work for this one is going to be 2 plus a negative 2 and then times 3. Whatever the value is for that, we'll square it and then subtract 1. That should be negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Squared is 16 minus 1 is indeed 15. So everybody come back and pick up 2 stacks of 2. Pick a number from 1 to 10. The winning numbers today are 9 and 5. Homework check. If you have it, bring it up here. If you don't, and you were here yesterday, it's another 100 million. Answers for 1 through 3. No questions about the homework, no papers to pass out, and no makeup tests to give. Objective today is to evaluate functions and to evaluate compound functions and inverse functions. Example number 1. In this case, you have 3 functions. So you have A, B, and C, and here is what you're supposed to find. Start with the innermost function, C of 2. Start with that. C of 2. Very simple. A negative 2 minus 2. And this is where the 2 was put in. The negative sign was already there. So you solve that out to get a negative 4. Now go back one function to the left, which is the A function. And you're going to use this negative 4. So A of negative 4 comes from here. That's 3 times negative 4 minus 1. Negative 12 minus 1 is negative 13. Now you go back one more function to B, and you're going to use this negative 13. B of negative 13. Here is the B function. 2 times negative 13 plus 2. That's a negative 26 plus 2, and that's a negative 24. This is the final answer. You do not have to write this or this, except just in your work. This is the final answer. Example number 2. 3 functions again, and this time we have to start with B of 2. So B of 2 comes from here. That's negative 3 times 2 plus 2. A negative 6 plus 2 will give me a negative 4. This you must use with the next one back, which is the A function. So A of negative 4, here's the A function. That is 4 times a negative 4 minus 1. Negative 16 minus 1 is a negative 17. So now we go back one more. C function. C of negative 17 is negative 17 plus 3. So that's a negative 14. This is your final answer. Negative 14. Practice problem number 1. On the practice problem, we need not A, we need C of 0. That's 4 times 0 minus 2. That's an easy one. It's just negative 2 because this cancels out. So move that back to this function, which is a. A of negative 2 is negative 2 minus 1. That's a positive 2 minus 1, which is 1. Now go back to the b function and use this. B of 1 equals 2 times 1 plus 3. That should be 5. On this one, you should have a of negative 1 equals negative 6 times negative 1 squared minus 3 times negative 1 plus 10. And negative 1 squared is simply 1. This turns into plus 3, and then we have plus 10. Negative 6 plus 3 plus 10, and then this will go to a negative 3. Add 10 to that and come up with 7. Practice 2. Our goal is to have more than 1 with the right answer this time. On the practice, you have to start with c of negative 4, and that is a negative 7 times negative 4 plus 5. 28 plus 5 is 33. Use that for the next one, which is b. So b of 33 is negative 4 times 33 minus 2. That should be a negative 132 minus 2, which is a negative 134. Now use that with the a function. Negative 134 equals a negative 2 times a negative 134 plus 3. And that's going to be a positive 268 plus 13, which is 281. Oh, okay. I thought that was 13. Yeah, that's a plus 3, so this should not be there. And therefore, if it's plus 3, it should be 271. Yeah, that's right. You're going to put a 2 in for a of 2. So that's 3 times 2 cubed minus 2 times 2 squared plus 5 times 2 minus 2. This is 8. 2 to the third is 8 times 3 is 24. And then this is 4. 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. And of course next you have 10 and then minus 2. So that is a 16. Add 10 to it to get 26, and subtract 2 to get 24. Example 3. A of x equals 4x plus 2, and you have to find the inverse of a of 4. First you have to find the inverse of a. So what you do is this. Instead of writing this as a of x equals 4x plus 2, write it like this. Y equals 4x plus 2. And next, to find the inverse, you're going to have to interchange x and y. So instead of writing it like this, you're going to change it to where it's x equals 4y plus 2. All we did is move the x here and then the y here. So that's what we have first. Now, in order to get the inverse, you have to solve this equation for y. You need to get y by itself. So move this to the left and change the sign. And then you're left with 4y on the right. To get rid of the 4 next to the y, I have to do what to both sides? What do I do to both sides to get y by itself? Divide by what? Which number? What am I dividing both sides by? 4. So x minus 2 over 4 equals y, because the 4 would have canceled out on the right. This is the inverse. So you could actually write it like this. The inverse of a would be x minus 2 over 4. And then from there, you plug in the number that was given to you. So you need to evaluate the inverse of a of x for a 4. And put that in here to get 4 minus 2 over 4, which is 2 over 4. That makes the final answer a half. Example 4. The function is a of x equals negative 5x minus 3. Find negative 10 plugged in for x for the inverse of a of x. And your first step is to substitute y for that. And then you must interchange x and y. So you're writing a new equation altogether. You're simply moving this to where y is and this to where x is. So it is x equals negative 5y minus 3. You must solve this equation for y and get y by itself. To get y by itself, we must remove anything that is added or subtracted to it. So this gets moved to the left and becomes plus. And you're left with negative 5y on the right. To get y by itself, you must divide both sides by a negative 5. When you do that, you're going to have x plus 3 over a negative 5 here. And then on the right, it is simply y, because this would have been canceled out. This represents the inverse of a of x. So you would write it like this. Inverse a of x, x plus 3 over a negative 5. Now the problem that was given to us says that we have to do this. Plug in negative 10. So a inverse of x equals negative 10 plus 3 over a negative 5. That is a negative 7 over negative 5. And you can leave it in that form, just simplify the signs. Double negative changes to positive. 7 over 5 would be the final answer. First, we're going to write it as, I need a pen, we're going to write it as y equals 8x minus 6. You must interchange x and y. So it's x equals 8y minus 6. And then solve for y by moving this over, make it plus 6. And you're left with 8y on the right. Divide both sides by 8, and you're left with this. So now we're going to write it like this. And the problem says to use this. So that's what we will do. And it is, this is going to be a little uneven, but 16 plus 6 over 8 is 22 over 8, but as the cards in the room there, in the back say, first one by the door near the top, never leave anything like 4 over 2 or anything that can be reduced. So the answer to this is really 11 over 4.